last train to nowhere. Episode 10. The fog swirled around them, but it was thinner now, retreating as Mia, Jason, Evelyn, Grace, and Liam walked toward the clearing. Liam, who had fallen behind, felt the weight of the fog clinging to him, tugging at his mind. The path ahead was clearer, the door just visible through the mist, but each step felt heavier for him. The others walked ahead, steadier now after facing their own demons. Mia glanced back, noticing Liam lagging. His face was pale, his eyes darting nervously toward the edges of the fog, as if searching for something to hold on to. She felt her own heart pounding, but she kept walking, knowing that the end was near. "We're close," she said softly, though her voice trembled with uncertainty. Jason walked beside her, his expression unreadable. He had faced his guilt head-on, and though it still clung to him, he had made the choice to move forward. Evelyn was clutching her locket, but there was a quiet peace in her eyes now, something Mia hadn't seen before. But Liam, he wasn't ready. The door stood alone in the center of the clearing, framed by the endless mist. It pulsed with a strange light, inviting but terrifying. Mia could feel the pull of the unknown beyond it, the uncertainty of what waited on the other side. She swallowed hard, wondering if they were truly ready. Behind them, the town loomed in the fog, its presence still a temptation, a place where they could stay and let the past continue to define them. The pull was strongest on Liam. He stared at the door but couldn't bring himself to move closer. His hands shook, his face twisted with indecision. The fog thickened around Liam as the others moved ahead. He couldn't shake the feeling that stepping through that door meant abandoning everything he had known, even the guilt, the failures, and the mistakes. He had lived with them for so long that they had become familiar, comfortable, in a twisted way. He stopped walking, his heart racing. "What if I mess everything up again? What if it's worse out there?" Mia turned to him, her eyes soft but firm. "We don't know what's out there, Liam. But staying here, staying stuck in this place, it's not living. You've been running for too long." Liam shook his head, taking a step back. I failed my business, my family. What if I just ruin everything again? I can't go through that." Jason stepped up beside Mia, his voice steady but sympathetic. "We all made mistakes, Liam, but staying here won't fix anything. You're only punishing yourself." Liam's breath quickened as the fog pressed in, the town calling to him like a dark comfort. He looked back at the familiar mist, the weight of his failures, and for a moment it felt easier to stay, easier to remain trapped in the known pain than face the fear of the unknown. The light ahead was blinding, and he wasn't sure if he could handle it. "I can't," Liam muttered, taking another step back. "I don't deserve a fresh start." The faceless figures emerged from the fog, circling him slowly. They weren't chasing him, but they were waiting. Mia saw the change in his posture, the way he shrunk back toward them, toward the town, toward the darkness he knew. "Liam, no!" she called, her voice desperate, but he couldn't hear her anymore. His mind was already made up. The faceless figures surrounded him, their blank stares swallowing him whole as he stepped backward into the fog. Mia reached out, but it was too late. The mist closed around Liam, and he was gone. Mia's hand trembled as she lowered it, the place where Liam had stood now empty. The others stared at the spot, their hearts heavy, but they knew they couldn't turn back. The fog still pressed in, but now the light of the door shone brighter, pulling them toward it. It was the only way out, but even as they neared it, the fear of what lay beyond gnawed at them. Grace looked at the door, then back at the fog. "What if it's worse out there?" she whispered. "What if it's just another trap?" The others were silent for a moment, the enormity of the choice weighing on them. The fog had been familiar, dark and suffocating, but known. The light was terrifying because it was unknown, a blank slate with no guarantees. Evelyn's grip on her locket tightened. "I don't know if I can leave him behind. Mark, he's all I've had." Jason's jaw clenched. "But staying here, we'll lose ourselves. We'll become like them." He gestured toward the faceless figures, lingering just on the edge of their vision. "We'll be trapped forever." Mia took a deep breath, feeling the pull of the light and the pull of the town tugging her in opposite directions. She had faced Chris, faced the part of herself that had kept her trapped for so long. But now, stepping into the light meant embracing something new, something terrifying. She had always known pain and fear. Could she really let that go for the unknown? "We have to take the leap," Mia said, her voice quiet but sure. "There's no living here. We can't be afraid of what's out there just because we don't know it." The door loomed before them, radiating a soft light, but it wasn't comforting. It was blinding, forcing them to confront their deepest fear, not of their past, but of what came next. The darkness of the town had become something they understood, but the light was a mystery, a terrifying void. Jason clenched his fists. What if we step through and there's nothing? What if we just disappear? Evelyn shivered. What if it's worse than this? Mia's heart pounded in her chest. She understood their fear. She felt it too. The idea of leaving behind everything familiar, even the pain, was terrifying. The darkness of their trauma had become their comfort, something they had lived with for so long that it felt like home. But the light promised freedom, freedom from the past, freedom from guilt, and that freedom was the scariest thing of all. "We've been living in fear for so long," Mia said softly, stepping closer to the door. "I don't know what's out there, but I know we can't stay here. The darkness, it's not a life, it's a prison." Grace stared at the door, her voice trembling. "But what if we don't deserve it? What if we don't deserve to be free?" Mia turned to face them all, her eyes shining with emotion. "We do. We deserve to move on. It's not about forgetting what happened or pretending it didn't hurt. It's about choosing to live with it and not letting it keep us trapped here." The light from the door pulsed, calling to them. The final decision was theirs. Mia stepped toward the door, her heart racing as the light grew brighter. Behind her, Jason, Grace, and Evelyn hesitated, still caught in the pull of the town. The faceless figures lingered in the distance, watching, waiting. But Mia knew, if they didn't take this step, they would become like them, trapped in the fog forever, faceless and lost. Jason clenched his fists, his jaw tight. "I've spent so long running from what I did. I don't know if I can walk into something new, something I don't understand." Mia turned to him, her voice strong. "You can. We all can. We've faced our pasts, but that doesn't mean we have to live there forever." Grace wiped away a tear, her hands shaking. "I'm scared, Mia. I'm scared of what's out there." Mia nodded, understanding all too well. "We're all scared, but staying here means we lose everything. The light, it's unknown, but it's better than being trapped in the dark." Evelyn looked down at her locket one last time, then back at the door. Her heart ached, but she knew the truth. "Mark wouldn't want me to stay here," she whispered. "He'd want me to live." With a final deep breath, Mia reached for the handle of the door. Her fingers brushed the cool metal, and for a moment, she hesitated. But then she pushed it open, and the light flooded over them. The light was blinding, wrapping around them in a wave of warmth and uncertainty. Mia stepped forward, her breath catching in her throat as she crossed the threshold. Jason, Grace, and Evelyn followed, their hearts pounding, their minds racing with fear and hope. Behind them, the door swung closed, sealing them off from the town, from the darkness, from the past. The light grew brighter, and for a moment they couldn't see anything, just the overwhelming brilliance of the unknown. But then, as their eyes adjusted, they saw it, a vast open landscape stretching out before them. It was quiet, peaceful, and unfamiliar, but it was free. Mia exhaled, her chest feeling lighter than it had in years. The weight of the past still lingered, but it no longer defined her. She turned to the others, a soft smile on her lips. "We made it," she whispered. Jason nodded, his face filled with quiet relief. "We did." Evelyn wiped away her tears, and Grace let out a shaky breath. The fear was still there, but now it was mixed with something else. Hope. They had stepped into the unknown, leaving behind the darkness that had held them for so long. And now, standing in the light, they realized that the hardest part hadn't been facing their past. It had been believing in a future.
This is the end of the story. Thank you for listening. If you like the story, please subscribe to our channel and check out our other stories. What do you think about this story? Let us know in the comment section below.